We all know the story of Noah, but for your and our own enlightenment, let's recount the story. It all started with wickedness, and a whole lot of it. Everyone was wicked, and when I say everyone, I mean literally everyone, except Noah. Then comes God. God can do anything he wants to solve this wickedness problem that has graced the land. And what does he choose? He creates a flood and destroys the land and all its people, except Noah and Noah's family and some animals. Well, God now instructs Noah to build an ark, otherwise known as a big boat, and Noah brings his family and some animals, and they will be saved. God instructs him to build the ark 300 cubits long by 50 feet wide and 30 feet tall. After boarding animals, which you might want to know is 2 by 2 for non-tahor animals and 7 for tahor animals, and Noah's family comes on board, this not-so-luxurious cruise sets sail. As the remnants of Noah's generation were quickly dwindling away, as the flood was growing larger and larger. The ark, otherwise known as a big boat, sailed for 40 days and 40 nights as the earth flooded. How did Noah know that it was safe to come home? When he sent out a dove, and it came back with a branch in its mouth. To be more specific, it was an olive branch. The passengers, crew, and animals of the ark departed the board later and saw a rainbow, which turned out to be God's artsy side, making a covenant with Noah and the people to come. Noah has a major internal conflict pre-flood that we would like to bring up. Noah's conflict was a simple one, in that when everyone else around him was bad, why did Noah choose to be good? This was his conflict. He had the internal conflict of whether to be the same as everyone else and be bad, or to be the different person and be good. In a generation where being bad might be different from what we see as being bad, considering everyone was quote-unquote bad, Noah was most certainly a righteous man for being different and doing the right thing. This raises the question as to whether Noah would be righteous in every generation, or was he just righteous because he wasn't bad in his generation, even though he might not have necessarily been a great person. Would Noah really be righteous in, let's say, Abraham's generation, or even our 21st century, or was he only righteous in his generation because he wasn't bad?
Rashi helps to answer this question when he talks about where it says Bedorotav in Bereshit 6:9. Rashi explains that Chazal don't agree on whether Noach was just righteous in his generation or righteous in all. Some of them say that in a generation with so many non-righteous people, this quality of Noach being relatively righteous is impressive. Some rabbis say that in his generation is trying to set Noah down a peg, and saying that Noach was only righteous with the low standard of his generation. Wherewith the fact that Noach was righteous in his generation, as this makes the most sense throughout the story. In the next verse, Bereshit 6:10, the Torah says that Noah bore 3 kids, Vayoled Noach. This is the second time we learn this piece of information, which Radak talks about. And he says that this phrase is here to show that not only was Noach righteous, but he was righteous because he taught his children to be so as well. We agree that this makes sense, since as we already stated, Noach was truly righteous. One chapter later, in Parak 7, Pasuk 7, Rashi explains that Noach may not have truly been fully faithful. Noach only went onto the ark once he saw the water coming, Rashi says. We agree that this makes some sense. It is hard for someone, even who's so righteous, to have that much blind faith, especially in the climate in which Noach lived. So these 3 commentaries fit pretty well with Noach's internal conflict. It was hard for him to be so faithful with so much evil around him, but in the end, we'd like to say Noach pulled it off. This story fits very well into Bereshit as Sefer Yetzirat HaAdam. It touches on some of the most important human qualities that we still see in us today. For example, it talks about faith. Faith is something that many people struggle with to this day. Noach had God talk to him, yet, according to Rashi, Noach still didn't have complete faith that the flood was coming. Additionally, the story deals with something that we all deal with in high school, peer pressure. Still today, if you see someone doing something, you're probably more likely to do the same thing. Noach was able to overcome seeing all the evil around him. This shows that humanity is able to be itself, and it probably should be. That's the main lesson of this story. Be the head, not the tail. Lead, don't necessarily follow. It is part of human nature to follow, but it can be overcome. This lesson is integral to our Yetzirah and thus fits perfectly into Sefer Yetzirah Adam.